This is our video for our 5.2 homework. So number one asks us to use this table to talk about how much money Robert earns mowing lawns. So when Robert mows 3 lawns, he earns $90. When he mows 4 lawns, he earns $120. So the question asks when Roberto earns So how much does Roberto earn per one lawn? So when we hear this word per, it's talking per one lawn mowed. So how much does he earn every time he mows one lawn? And we're going to show our reasoning using these equivalent ratios. So enter our answer in these boxes. So I know when I'm going to put some labels here. So in our book, it doesn't have these labels here. And so we are going to put our lawns on the top and our money on the bottom. So something I do know, and I could do either one of these. I could do the 3 or the 4. So I'm just going to choose the 3. So I know when he mows 3 lawns, he earns $90. And I want to know when he mows 1 lawn, how much money does he earn? So that's what we're looking for. How much money does he earn when he mows 1 lawn? So I'm asking myself, how do I get from 3 to 1? And when we're making equivalent ratios, we're either multiplying or dividing. Since we got smaller, we had to divide. So we're going to divide by 3. And remember, whatever we do to the top, we do to the bottom. So we're going to divide by 3. So that means we have to do 90 divided by 3 is going to give us this answer here. Our final answer will tell us how much money he earns. We could do the same thing in the table. We could say, right, here's our lawns, here's our money. We want 1 lawn. We want 3 lawns. We want 4 lawns. We know this is 90. We know this is 120. How do I get from 3 to 1? Well, I divided by 3, so I would divide by 3. So a table or this ratio will give us that same answer here. So go ahead and divide that by 3 to get that final answer for how much he makes when he mows 1 lawn. So when we are finding the ratio, did it matter whether we used the 3 or the 4 here? So go ahead and explain. Could I have found it if I did 4 over 120 equals 1 over my money? Could I have done that using that ratio and found that same answer? I wouldn't have been able to divide by 3, but could I have found that using that problem? Let's go ahead and do number 1 and come back when you are ready for number 2. So number 2 wants us to complete the table using these equivalent ratios. So what we do know is that for every 8 pairs of black shoes, we have 3 pairs of red shoes. So 8 pairs of black shoes, 3 pairs of red shoes. We know we have 16 pairs of black shoes, 6 pairs of red shoes. So I notice to get from 3 to 6, we times by 2. What we did to one side, we did to the other. They times by 2. So we times by 2. We doubled it on both sides. So now I'm noticing to get from 3 to 9. So how do we get from 3 to 9? 3, 6, 9. Well, we timesed it by 3. Times by 3. So to get this missing piece, we have to do 8 times 3. So 8 times 3 will give us this missing piece. Now here we have 8 to 32. So figure out, how did I get from 8 to 32? And then whatever that is, we need to do the same thing. 3 times that same thing will give us this missing piece. So whatever you do to one side, you do the same thing to the other side. So everything is equivalent. You do the same thing to both sides, right? We times by 2, we times by 3. And you don't always have to go in order. Sometimes they can skip. Sometimes we times, by 2. Sometimes then they'll skip and times by 5. Sometimes then they'll times by 15. So it's not always just 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and a constant. Sometimes, right, they'll skip and say that, right, they'll go in different orders. So don't just count. Pay attention to what they're doing. Let's go ahead and do number 2 and then come back when you're ready to do number 3. So number 3 is $25. So here's our cost for every $2 of an art class. So now they spent 4 hours at an art class. So now they times by 2. So we want to do the same thing here and times by 2. Now how do we get from 2 to 6? 2, 4, 6. So we times by 3. So now we want to do 25 times 3 to get this piece here. Now we're looking for this one. So we're going to see how do we get from 25 to 100. It's like quarters. 25 is actually a really easy number. 25, 50, 75, 100. It's 4. So 4 times 2 will give us that last number there. So go ahead and fill out that chart there. Come back when you are ready to do number 4. Okay, number 4 says that Eric lays tile on a floor at a constant rate. So that constant means it's the same over and over again. He covers 150 square foot floor in 3 hours. Complete the table to show the area Eric can cover in different various amounts of time. So in 3 hours, we know he can do 150 square feet. So we can fill that in. So to do the rest of this, what we want to find is we want to find how much he can do in 1. Once we know how much Eric can do in 1, the rest of this is pretty simple. So even though it doesn't ask us to do 1, let's find that out anyways. So we want to do 1. So let's ask ourselves, how do we get from 3 to 1? Well, we divided by 3. So what do we need to do to this? Divide it by 3. So 150 divided by 3, 3 goes into 15, 5 times is 50. So I know every hour he can lay 50 square feet. So now, how do I get from 1 to 4? Well, I times by 4. So now I can do 50 times 4, put that answer here. How do I get from 1 to 4.5? Times by 4.5. So now I need to do 50 times 4.5. Put that answer here, right? Once you know the 1, you can do any other number. And the 1 is pretty easy to find, right? Take what you know, divide, right? Whatever it is, it's pretty easy to find the 1. So figure out how to find the 5, find the 6.5. So go ahead and pause and see if you can fill in the rest of that box. Then come back when you're ready to do part B. Okay, so part B wants us to graph this information here. So I know my hours I can see are on the bottom and my square feet go up. I also know he's going in a constant, so it should be straight. So in 1 hour, he can do 50. I know in 3 hours he can do 150. I know in 4 hours he can do 200. And so you can see, right, when I connect those, it's going to go in a straight line there. So you always want to do at least 3 points to make sure that you're going to be in a straight line there. So when you're doing these, you always want to go back to that 1. How do I get to a 1 from a 3? Divide by 3. Do the same thing to the bottom. Once you know the 1, you can do any other number from the 1. Okay, so go ahead and finish that and come back when you are ready to do number 5. Okay, number 5 wants us to find the unit rate. That means per 1. So 56 ounces for every 2 cans. So we want to know how much is it for 1 can. So let's kind of make ourselves a chart here. So we know it is 56 ounces, right? Here's our ounces. Here's our cans. And we know it's 56 ounces for 2 cans. I want to know how much is it for 1 can. So this is kind of using that table to find the cans here. So 2, how do I get from 2 to 1? Well, I had to divide. So I'm going to do the same thing here. So I write divide by 2. So I'm going to do the same thing here and divide by 2. And that will tell me how many ounces are in 1 can. So setting up that chart kind of helps me know what do I need to do. Keeping it equivalent, we divided by 2, divided by 2. So let's look at number 6 here. So we have $5.15 per 5-pound bag. So we've got money and we've got pounds here. So this was $5.15 and that was for 5 pounds. I want to know the unit rate for 1 pound. So how do I get from 5 to 1? And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. So I can still use that table and do the same thing. And I could put that 1 on top too. How do I get from 5 to 1? It just was easier for me to put it on the bottom. Okay, so I'm asking myself that unit. How do I get from 5 to 1? 1 per 1 pound in a bag. And I do, so whatever I do to one side, I do to the other is our rule we want to follow. Let's go ahead and finish up any of those homework problems you have and let me know if you have any questions.